It might be good if the rates are high, and it might be good if they go lay down, and it might be good if we build this ship, and it might be good if we scrap this ship, and it might be good with a GRI, and it might be good with a PSS buy, and it might be good if we go decarb, and it might be good if we do it right, and it might be good if we make it fit, and it might be good if we go for it, and it might be good if we synergize, and it might be good if we solve this now. Hey!
So Peter, how are you?
I'm well, Nils.
You're
How
well?
are you? Yep,
I'm good. I'm good.
really in good shape.
There is a question I have on my lips for 2 years that we know each other. And again, I thanks Jason for putting us in contact.
Yeah.
Tirschwell, where does that come from? The name is...
So it's it's an original name,
Yeah?
meaning that the only Tirschwells in the world are us. So if we run across a Tirschwell anywhere, then they are guaranteed to be a relative of some kind.
Okay.
And it's basically a Eastern European Jewish name that was never changed. So it's not a modification of an original name. It is the name, and it's just the name of our family.
Wonderful. So cool. Okay. You're all based in New York? If I find a Tirschwell, would that be a New York from the Bronx and New York?
So yeah, so the family were they emigrated to Brooklyn, New York.
Okay.
And there were, I think, 11 Tirschwell offspring from the the original matriarch and patriarch.
Yes.
And one of them was my grandfather.
Okay.
And so we've got a bunch of cousins and various and sundry people, but for the most part, it was in New York. But then they've migrated Texas, Florida, California, and so there's still some of us in New York.
Okay. Cool. Well, I was about to ask you where does your story start, but I guess New York would be the answer.
Correct. Yeah. So I was born in Manhattan. I grew up in Manhattan, so I'm a true. There's not actually all that many of us, but I'm a sort of true New Yorker.
Okay. Are you a uptown boy, if I may say?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
So I grew up
I like the song.
on the Upper East Side, 79th Street and Lexington Avenue.
All right.
So right smack in the middle of the big city.
I'll make sure to visit next time, for sure.
Please do. You would be very welcome.
Thanks. So tell us, it's a question quite general, but I think it comes from a friend of mine as a psychiatrist. Describe yourself in as many words or as fewer words that you want. Talk to me about you. Who are you?
Professionally, I'm a journalist. So that's what that's sort of buried pretty deep inside of me. So being a journalist is as much of a mindset as it is a profession.
Okay.
And if you are lucky enough, as I have been, to be that which you are inside of you, then you're lucky, and I consider myself incredibly lucky to have been able to be a journalist in this field now for 32 years, something like that, since 1992. So 33 years this year, actually.
Mm.
And belatedly, I became a family man. So I was single for a long, long time, and I ended up getting married for the first time at age 47.
Oh.
And then my son showed up when I was 50.
Mm-hmm.
And I just turned 63 in April. So he's about to turn 13. So, yeah, that's not much more to say. Not very interesting.
Okay. No, I beg to differ. That's fine. We can disagree for once. So can I say that you're living and making as a work your childhood dream? When you were a child, you already wanted to be a writer, or you wanted to be Indiana Jones, an archaeologist or something?
Well, I started to learn that I was a writer and wanted to be a writer when I was in college.
Okay.
So I had some professors who influenced me. I was studying art in college at the University of Maine,
Yes.
and I had to do writing about art,
Okay.
and I was encouraged to do more writing. So I ended up the University of Maine had a daily newspaper, a daily campus newspaper, but it was a daily, so it was coming out regularly, and so I kind of appointed myself as the art critic for the newspaper, and I started to write, cover art exhibits and that kind of thing, and that's when I was like, okay, this is what I want to do, and then I got sort of diverted because I come from a Wall Street family,
Okay.
so family members in Wall Street and who were kind of encouraging me to, come into the family business, get involved, and so I kind of succumbed to that a little bit, where I ended up working on Wall Street after college. I ended up getting my MBA, and while I was getting my MBA, I kind of had a sort of somewhat of an epiphany, which was that I don't want to go work on Wall Street. What I really want to do, my passion is to be a writer.
Okay.
But I'm going to compromise. I'm going to meet my situation halfway, and I'm going to become a business writer. So what happened was that halfway through my MBA degree at Fordham University, I said, okay, now the reason why I'm getting my MBA is because I'm going to use it for journalism, for business journalism. And therefore, everything that I'm studying, finance, accounting, marketing, all the subjects that I was studying in my MBA education all became relevant to me because it would enable me to better cover companies and write about what's happening in the business world. So, and then it was shortly after that I kind of stumbled on the Journal of Commerce, which was sort of just a fluke. But when I first realized what it was, I said, this is exactly where I'm going to work. So in other words, it was an old New York City shipping newspaper.
Okay.
So it had been founded in the 1820s.
Oh.
So actually in 2 years, in 2027, it's going to be 200 years old. And it has an illustrious history, but it had kind of fallen on hard times. So it was still a daily newspaper. It was still covering the shipping news. It was still basically supported by daily sailing schedule advertising.
Okay.
And it was being published out of the World Trade Center. And so when I realized that this place existed, I said, this is where I'm going to work. There's no question about it. And I essentially I planted myself in their reception area. And I had the list of all the different editors. There was a maritime editor, there was a international trade editor, there was a special sections editor. There were these various and sundry editors, and I would tell the receptionist that I wanted to see each one of them, and they would come out and they would be like, who are you? And I said, well, I'm Peter, and I want to work here. So I want you to give me assignments. I don't need a full-time job. I don't know anything. I don't need a job per se. I mean, I can just write on a sort of on an assignment basis, and I was able to work my way in.
Wow. You already had that mindset of discipline. You had made your research. You knew who were the editors, their specificities. Did you have pictures of them next to just to?
No, I didn't. I didn't have that, but I knew that I could probably get in there. I mean, if I had done the same thing at the New York Times, I'm sure that they would have escorted me out of the office, or the Wall Street Journal, same thing. But the Journal of Commerce was sort of this, scrappy old newspaper, a bunch of old men with their green eye shades, sitting there, kind of banging out the shipping news every day, and I sat down and never, never hesitated. I was able to dive into many stories. The work came very naturally to me. Writing came very naturally to me. I didn't have a problem, kind of challenging people, challenging companies, because when you're, an active journalist and you're writing articles, for something that you write to be of interest to somebody, you might have to put somebody in an uncomfortable position, or they put themselves into an uncomfortable position, and you're the one who is reporting it out to the public. So, but I had no problem with that, and also very early on, I had an immediate respect for the industry.
Okay.
So and an immediate respect for people. So I knew, I sort of understood the value of global trade, and that the whole world of moving goods around was, not just the freight industry or shipping industry. It was more kind of facilitating international trade, and I had a pretty immediately picked up on the importance and the significance of that. So I had an immediate kind of respect for the industry and what it did, and for people too. I mean, I got to know the amazing people in the industry who were just so, no nonsense, so operationally focused, so dedicated to what they did. So it's been a great ride, great pleasure covering the industry all these years.
Excellent. I have a few things in my head right now. When was that? When you sat at the reception of the GOC and waited to get somebody to talk to you? When was that?
1992.
1992.
Yeah.
So the bubble of the .NET was not exactly here, but was the newspaper, journal, physical newspaper still high and running, or was it already declining?
So it was still very much in operation. So 1992 was basically pre-internet, and so it was a fully operating newspaper. It had 3 sections. It was a broadsheet, not a tabloid. So it was big, big newspaper that you can open up this way, sort of like the Straits Times.
Yes.
And it had well over 100 editorial staffers.
Okay.
It was a fully fledged operation. But what happened was that as soon as the internet came around, and the ocean carriers had the opportunity to publish their sailing schedules online, the main source of revenue of the Journal of Commerce disappeared within 5 years.
Okay.
And so it went from what on the surface would have been a good business, thriving newspaper, proud history, but it was extremely vulnerable to the internet, and so by the year, so if the internet kind of came around 1994, 95, it kind of began to really come into widespread use. By the year 2000, the newspaper was gone as a daily entity, and then what happened was that basically, so I kind of found my tribe there, because it turned out that I wasn't the only one who was obsessed about writing about the shipping industry, and there were actually a whole bunch of us, and that was really all we wanted to do, to be honest with you. We didn't want to go into marketing, we didn't want to go into PR, we didn't want to do any of this stuff. We wanted to write about the shipping industry, full stop. And so when the daily shut down, the company didn't shut down, but the daily newspaper couldn't be printed anymore economically. It became a weekly magazine, and we sort of said, wow, if we don't come up with other sources of revenue, then we're going to be out on the street, and we're going to have to do something else. But what we really want to do is this. So we said, okay, why don't we start a conference? Why don't we invite our sources who we normally talk to on the phone? We will invite them up on stage, at a conference. We will have people come. They will pay an admission fee, and we will interview them in front of a live audience, essentially. We will do journalism, our regular journalism that we do on a stage. And the Journal of Commerce had always, going way back, even, way back into the 1800s, had always addressed itself editorially to cargo, to exporters, like the sailing schedule. Advertising was aimed at cargo, freight forwarders and cargo owners. If back at home in Brooklyn, I've got an old Journal of Commerce from the 1860s, literally from the month of when the Civil War ended, April 1865, and right there is a whole column of essentially classified advertising saying this ship is leaving from this pier in Lower Manhattan on this day, now loading for Santo Domingo, Port-au-Prince, wherever it is, addressing itself to exporters, to cargo. And so when you combine the fact that we were all the people who we invited up on stage to have a conversation with, the whole subject was all aimed at cargo, at basically BCOs.
Yes.
And so that was the beginning of TPM.
No.
And
that was TPM already?
So that was in...
What year was that?
So that was the daily... So I started in 1992.
Yes.
From 94 to 97, I was in San Francisco. I was the bureau chief on the West Coast during the daily newspaper days. I came back to New York for a couple years while the daily was in very, very steep decline. And the daily could no longer be printed as of the year 2000. And then TPM started in 2001. So this past year, or this past March, we had the 25th anniversary of TPM. And what I've always felt, and because this year we reflected on 25 years of TPM, and what my colleagues and I were most proud of was the fact that keeping it as a pure journalism-driven program, where we are the ones inviting the speakers and we are the ones determining the subjects for the benefit of BCOs. Over the years, the BCOs have come to understand that the conference, number one, is for them, but that the programming is independent and legitimate. I mean, we might have a boring speaker every once in a while, or we might have some speaker who goes rogue and then gives a sales pitch, but nobody is paying for the privilege of being on stage. And that's the reason why we have a huge BCO audience, ultimately.
My last question on this topic, because time is of essence, of course. How is it different to write about art and be a critic of art in your university and to write about container shipping or cargo in general? What's your...
No difference.
No difference.
No, because writing is the act of communicating.
Yes.
And nobody's going to read what you write and derive any value from what you write unless they can understand what you're writing.
Okay.
So they have to read something and say, okay, I understand what this writer is trying to say. And that is the essence of writing. Whether you're writing about art, or whether you're writing about shipping, or whether you're writing about economics, or it doesn't matter what the subject is, good writing will always create value for a reader, because and also in today's world, where people have an attention span that barely lasts long enough to read a tweet, if you are not really being very, very clear and concise in what you are saying, which is an art in itself, nobody's gonna read what you write.
Okay.
And so writing about art,
yes,
does somebody picks up the daily main campus newspaper and starts to read something right from the beginning, they better be like, okay, I want to read this because I understand what this person is trying to say. And so therefore there's no difference in the end. You know, writing about art was a little bit more, I was a critic.
Yes.
So I was actually trying to make a value judgment about what I was seeing.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that, you know, this artist has no talent, or say that in various ways, you know, try to be nice about it. But I did, during that period, I did have some you know, kind of minor confrontations with artists
Yes.
who would be sort of, you know, displeased with what I was saying about their work.
Mm-hmm.
But I was a critic, so I was just saying what I felt. I was not doing an article about them and what their perspective was.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, you know, business journalism really involves trying to get to the truth of something, and especially in an industry like shipping, where there are many different points of view, and there's a lot of complexity. You have to dig pretty deep in order to get to the heart and the truth of something. I mean, if it's just a, you know, I don't know, a vessel, like an accident or something, or if the facts are very much on the surface, then you know you're just really writing what, you know, something that's pretty. But the work that we specialize in, and I've always specialized in, is to write articles. What I've always tried to do is write articles that there's no press release.
Okay.
Like the only way that I'm able to write that article is that I talk to you,
Yes.
I talk to her, I talk to him, I talk to this other person, and you're all basically giving me a different angle on some common subject, and therefore I'm able, through various voices of who I interview, I'm able to make a real case for the what it is that I'm trying to point out.
Is it what we call investigation journalism?
Well, it's more what we call enterprise journalism.
Okay.
Sort of investigative journalism is more, there's a scandal, there's that I have to really do a lot of digging in order to uncover it. I got to go, you know, court documents or whatever. It's something that somebody does not want me to know and does not want to see put out into the public domain, but I'm going to do it anyway.
I understand.
That's more, I would call that investigative journalism. Enterprise journalism, which is kind of what we sort of specialize in at the Journal of Commerce, is exactly what I was saying. It's connecting the dots, saying, that person is saying this person is saying this. You put it all together, and I can say something substantial about a topic that I was only able to write that article as a result of talking to various people, and so therefore the headline that you read, you won't see that headline anywhere else. You won't see the article anywhere else, because we were able to put the pieces together.
Okay. Maybe last question about your creativity and your writing process. How much discipline you have, and how much, you know, modus operandi, way of doing things you have accumulated along the years, versus the creativity in itself. Is discipline a creativity killer, or creativity is always there and it's supported by discipline? How do you see that in your own writing?
Well, I mean, discipline always is aided by a deadline. And so whenever there is a deadline that I'm working against, that imposes discipline, and creativity for me is built into the whole process. Okay. So creativity is, I get an idea, I write it down on my phone, I see something that somebody has said, maybe, you know, on social media, for example. Take LinkedIn, which I know, Nils, you're very active on, I'm very active on. But actually, LinkedIn is a very interesting tool for the journalistic creative process. Okay. Because people say things and they are said in the public domain, which means that I can quote them saying it. And so on any number of occasions, I have extracted a sentence or two straight out of a LinkedIn post or a LinkedIn comment, because it's on the record. and if it supports a point I'm trying to make over here, then I have more, whatever it is that I'm writing is going to be stronger because I have this person saying this, which is supporting this theme. And so the creative process is really just a matter of figuring out ways to connect the dots and also to find the evidence you need through data, through comments, through other people's articles, whatever it is that supports the point that you're trying to make, and that's fun.
I think somebody said productivity without purpose is just motion. So I appreciate the fact that you say that having a deadline, it's something that triggers you, if I understand properly, into this creative process where you also pour discipline to get to it. So deadline in itself can be a purpose also sometimes, I guess.
For sure, because everything's on the line.
Yeah.
Because we still publish a magazine.
Sure.
It went from a weekly to a biweekly. Now it's a monthly magazine, but nevertheless, it's a deadline and it's a print deadline. So we have to send files to a printer, and the printer expects them on this date and time. So you better get your act together, and you better do all the work that you need to, and then to do that, you sort of back it up however many days or weeks where you're saying, okay, I know I have that deadline, and therefore I better be conceptualizing what it is I want to say potentially. I need to get a hold of people who don't, people are very busy, never been busier than they are today. So therefore they have less and less time for somebody like me. So it all becomes a pretty active, process. But the deadline is what's imposing the discipline.
Okay, I get you. Back maybe to one thing you said about when you were art critic for the University of Maine Journal newspaper. Sometimes you may have ruffled some feather by having an opinion on the piece. It's something I don't see you having really now in your current role. I don't see a backlash on Peter Tirschwell. Everything you have published that I've seen, read, go through, you have the respect of the carriers, you have the respect of the customers, the shippers, and okay, it might be some pieces on workforce, etc. But you have make almost no waves in a full career of journalism. Is that rare, would you say? To me, it looks rare. It looks quite seldom.
That's a good question. I mean, I would like to think that the reason why I don't get a lot of pushback is because what I'm saying is accurate, like it's true, and I will always support everything I say with as much reporting and as much evidence
You're prepared
that I can possibly amass because I mean, we're paid by readers. So the Journal of Commerce is a paid publication, and therefore we're accountable to paying readers who want insights from us that are relevant for their business. But if those insights are wrong, if they're inaccurate, if you're saying things that aren't true, or you're putting out a premise that has a flimsy premise to it, then you're not creating any value for somebody. You're actually complicating things for them. You're possibly putting them in a position where they're making a decision on the basis of what you say, but what you're saying isn't correct. That imposes a lot of discipline on us, and we're very mindful, my colleagues and I, about really getting the story right. And I think if you get the story right, then people will not push back. When I do get pushback, and it's happened a few times in my career, where somebody said, "Well, you're wrong. That's what you wrote is inaccurate."
Okay.
and it's happened a few times. It's highly embarrassing. I am very apologetic, and we correct mistakes all the time. Sometimes you have to reflect a little bit more deeply about why was I so intent on going down this road. But you know, we feel, I mean, and possibly because of, you know, the fact that people are paying us to read our editorial content, but also, you know, hopefully a position of respect that we've earned in the market, that whenever we go out of line, whenever we fall out of line in something we write, we're going to hear about it right away. People are going to they're going to email us, they're going to call us, they're going to post it on social media, and they're going to let us know. And it's a great place to be, because it means if your audience and if the industry is holding you to a high standard, it means that you're accountable to them. You're accountable to the industry, and you're going to up your game as a journalist as a result of that. I'm going to make an extra phone call. I'm going to be very convinced that what I'm writing is accurate, because otherwise, you know, I'm just going to expose myself, and you know, from a business perspective, if people think that what we're writing is trash or not accurate, they're not going to subscribe to us, and our revenue is going to go down. So. So it's a good position to be in. I like being held accountable by paying readers for very, very high quality writing, and I know that all of my colleagues at the Journal of Commerce, we all share that same feeling.
I really like your relationship to failure in a way, right? It's very inspiring. Talking about inspiring or inspiration, who were your mentors or your figures when you started to go on this journalistic path? Did you have mentors or people you were looking to try to learn from them and replicate some behaviors?
Well, you know, I mean, I had mentors in journalism.
Okay.
So I had people who were part of the Journal of Commerce, who were you know, editors and fellow journalists who I looked up to and who I learned from. And then I had people out in the industry who were even more important mentors.
Okay.
Because they were the ones who took the time to explain how the industry worked to me. And they gave me their time, even though I'm not a customer. So I'm not shipping any cargo at all. I shipped one container one way, one time, when I relocated to Singapore, and that was it. So I have no, you know, I'm able to provide no business to anyone, and yet there were any number of people who, you know, older than me, been in the industry a long time, who were willing to trust me to speak on a background or off the record basis with me, and were willing to take time to show me how the business really worked. And those are the people who I regard as the most influential people in my career, because over time, I was able to kind of be able to differentiate between red herrings, something that is happening but is actually not important, and something that is important and is significant and is worthy of further time and effort. So and that's one of the ways that we are that we're guided, because if we start writing articles on things that are not important, that we think are important but actually are not important, the industry is going to pick up on that, and they're going to say, actually, you guys don't know the industry. If you think this is important, if this is happening, that's not of interest to me. That's not important to me. So you're not just wasting your own time, you're wasting my time. And then, you know, things will evolve from there. But take a guy like Frank Caradonna, who was he was the head of the when I knew him when I was in San Francisco, he was the head of the Transpac trade for OOCL.
Okay.
And he was one of the most influential people in the Trans-Pacific trade ever since the beginning of containers. He understood how the conference system worked. He was able to bridge cultural divides between Asian carriers and Western carriers. He understood the dynamic between the carriers and the BCOs, and he was a universally respected guy. And he took me under his wing, and his son James Caradonna is one of my very good friends in the industry, and somebody who we work closely with in developing the TPM program. But just to give you an example of the type of people who were really senior people who gave me a lot of time, that was my career wouldn't have been what it is without somebody like Frank, but also many others.
Yeah, definitely there are some nexus moments like that where, should you have not met him, or has he not been so kind to you, life would have been very, very different. I get that. Okay, future focus. What's the future for TPM? What's going to be TPM 26?
Well, it's early on, so here we are. We're sitting here in late June, mid-June, and we're actually very, we have to figure out what is going to be relevant next March, when every day something new happens and something completely different occurs. And so what will be, by the time we get to Long Beach next March, what can we say with some degree of certainty that actually people will still be interested in at that point in time? And then we have to start developing our program, because we can't wait until mid-February to start to put a program together that's got a couple hundred speakers on it. And we have to start now.
Yes.
So and that is really what we're going to be guided by, is what amid uncertainty, where is clarity? Where is certainty within uncertainty? What can you hang your hat on and say, okay, this is going to be relevant about them? So that's all. We're in the early stages of that now, and I know that what will happen, because it happened last year, and it's happened many times over the years actually, where the program becomes a living, breathing thing right up to the end. So in other words, we're rewriting session descriptions. We're going back to moderators and speakers and saying, okay, we need to pivot here or there or wherever it is, because the ground is shifting right under our feet. And so this past TPM, we were really actually quite proud that by the time we got to Long Beach, even though the program had been under development for nearly 9 months, that we were pretty spot on in terms of being right on top of what was happening. And people who were there, I hope they felt that we were connecting them with the here and now of industry dynamics and external pressures and forces. And that, as opposed to being at a conference where I don't know what you're talking about, because what I'm experiencing in the real world is something quite different from this.
Yeah, definitely.
That's to be avoided.
Yes. But you have been right for a few years, right? The year before, you were talking about hub and spoke as a concept, right? And how that will influence the delivery and the relationship also, right? So you're doing something right, I guess.
I hope so.
proof is in the pudding, right? They say.
It is, but there's but also you have to reinvent yourself all the
Yes,
time.
of course.
You're okay for maybe a couple weeks. People are maybe happy about their experience at an event like TPM, but you have to outdo yourself the following year. You can't rest on your laurels. You have to reinvent. You have to build the whole thing from scratch, literally every year, in order to maintain kind of the same, to live up to the expectations of your audience.
Do you think you're going to reinvent the recipe a bit? I mean, last year was quite interactive already, but do you think there are some sessions you would like to see in either a smaller scale or in a more interactive? Because sometimes, all this is goldies. I agree with that. But sometimes, and maybe for the younger generation that will start to come to your TPM, they may like different format, right? Does a panel always has to be 2, 3, 5 people talking with a moderator asking questions? Or do you foresee that you may have some sessions that are more interactive with the audience, where the audience can ask questions along the way, for example?
What do you think would be a good format? Like when you envision that, what are you thinking about? Because I want to tell you something, Niels.
Yes.
I completely agree with you.
Okay.
That I saw a picture of a conference. So somebody who sent me a picture of their father, who was also in the business, presenting at a conference in the 1960s.
Okay.
And there was the panelists, the moderator, the stage.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, nothing had changed in terms of format. And I am constantly thinking about this.
Okay.
So
it's
please tell me what to do.
It's worth nothing, but do you foresee that you could have some sessions using Twitch, or now YouTube is doing some of those live streaming, where you could have the audience also, posting questions, and those questions going on a chat, not in a chat like Pigeonhole or one of those software web app, really a Twitch, a stream, where you see the questions going and there are interactions, something like that, something a bit more.
So this is where the audience members are able to post a question that is then visible to the entire audience and to the speakers.
And maybe not just a question, maybe just a reaction also.
So
chat.
So in other words, the audience is participating in a real-time way, not just by asking questions, but by commenting on what people said.
Yes.
So that you have a dialogue occurring that involves the whole audience on an ongoing basis during the time of the session.
Yes, and I don't know if the speakers should see it, but maybe the moderators could see it. So the screen would be behind the speakers, so that the audience and the moderator could see it, and the moderator choose and pick the reactions or the questions that he or she feels is right to ask the speakers, because if the speakers see it, there's going to be a lot of focus lost, etc. But if you continue to have speakers, kind of answering one question at a time or one by one, then the 2, 3, 4 others, they have some time also on their hands, right? So maybe by seeing it, they could spark a new answer or a different view. I don't know.
Oh, I think it's a great idea. Maybe we'll talk offline about this, Nils, so I can understand better. We've done a few things. One of the things that we thought was that we feel that we're competing for people's attention, even when they're in the room. So they got themselves. They bought themselves a ticket to TPM. They got themselves to Long Beach. Maybe they flew in, possibly internationally, made it to the conference venue, made it into the room, found a seat, sat down, the session starts, and they're on their phone, multitasking, missing key points. Because if somebody says something, you have to be really paying attention or you're going to miss what they said.
Yes.
So we started with a few sessions this past year of basically creating like CNN style highlights and the only way to do that is to have one of our editorial team. I mean, we haven't figured out how to do it with AI yet, but somebody from our editorial team listening and then saying, Rolf Haben Janssen of Hapag-Lloyd just said that, that overcapacity is going to kick in in June. And you write one line and bingo, it goes right up on stage, on the screen that everybody can see for the purpose of enabling attendees to derive as much of the benefit of what's being said as possible.
Gotcha.
Because the people are entitled to do whatever they want. If they want to go and respond to an email, then that's what they're going to do. And they, as a result of that, unless you, as the conference organizer, don't take the responsibility to get the information and the insights from the stage into people's head, then they're going to miss it, and they're going to lose out on the value.
Of course.
So we're very much thinking in terms of how do you innovate the conference format to create a more valuable experience.
Okay. All right. Maybe not a closing question, but asking you, what's the elephant in the room that you are hearing about, but you don't think people see so much? Because you talk offline to a lot of very insightful people. Is there something you see happening those days that you think is a undervalued trend or undervalued concern? It's not under the spotlight like today, so many news, but is really a topic of interest?
Yeah. So one, and this has been a theme of a lot of pieces I've written. I'm constantly seeing investment analyst reports on the container shipping business.
Yes.
And it's always the same thing, meaning that supply is going to be up 7%, demand is up 2%. That means overcapacity, and that means freight rates are going to go down, and the ocean carriers are going to be making less money, or they're going to be in a loss-making situation. Therefore, we recommend that you sell the stock, that kind of thing. And fair enough, that is the traditional way to look at this industry, because for many, many years, the supply and demand was those were the main factors determining freight rates and profitability. Whereas I think the industry has changed completely. And I believe that take everything from the internal ways that the industry is managing capacity in a very active way. They started with slow steaming back during the financial crisis and idling of ships. Then they moved on to blank sailings, skipped port calls, a lot of levers that the industry has that they are increasingly willing to use, even if it's to the detriment of their customers' supply chains. So capacity is being taken out of the market by actions of the carriers themselves. And then you put on top of that the external factors that are pulling capacity out of the market. Geopolitical tensions, such, the Red Sea, and then, the possible Strait of Hormuz, because we're right in the middle of the Israel-Iran war now, being in mid-June. And then you have what also appears to be growing port congestion in the world, which is long-term inability of powers that be to create port capacity to keep up with demand and to keep up with larger sized ships. And so you have the situation that you have today, which is even in 2025, there is probably a 5 or 6, 7 point spread between new capacity coming onto the market and demand. And yet you have an extremely tight situation. You have no vessels available for charter. You have no vessels, or charter rates still quite high.
Yes.
You've got, you've also got the fact that very little, no ships are idled. So the system is operating at full capacity,
Yes.
given the fact that all this capacity has come out of the market for all these factors. And I think that's the way that the industry has to be viewed these days,
Yes.
not through a traditional supply and demand lens. And yet I see constant talk about supply and demand as if this is relevant.
Would you say is the thing that changed the most in 32 years you're writing now with us? Is it the thing that changed the most in our industry? The relationship, the dynamism between carrier and customer, and in particular centered around the fact that it's not Econ 101 anymore, and it's not supply and demand. It's not the true story anymore.
Correct. That is the biggest change.
Okay.
Because for customers, you have to get used to the fact that carriers are in the driver's seat in a way they've never been before, and they're not going to want to relinquish that.
Sure.
And it requires a massive mindset change on the part of customers, many of whom are people who've been running logistics for big retail companies or other big BCOs for a long time, remember the way things were pre-COVID, and might be waiting for those days to return. But I don't think they're going to come back.
So I'm going to go for fireside questions.
Yeah.
So quick questions, yes or no, or one word. You have one joker, of course,
Yeah.
in case you want to skip. Okay? All right. Pineapple on pizza. Is it legit or not?
No.
Okay. Schedule reliability does matter. Yes, no, or one word.
Yes.
Shipping will reach net zero by 2050.
No.
What's your favorite comedian? I'm talking stand-up comedian.
Bernie Mac.
Interesting.
God rest his soul.
Hub and spoke works in the sense deliver values for the customer. Okay.
Early indications, yes.
Okay. If you were to be a port, which port would you be and why?
I would be Singapore.
Why? One word.
Connectivity.
Connectivity. I like it. All right. As a tradition, I would like to start. I would like you to leave a question for the next guest. You don't know who that is. That doesn't matter. What question would you leave for them?
The question would be, what is the most important thing that people are not paying attention to?
Okay. Peter, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you came. I had 2 years of a blast with you. A lot of similarities in our stories, be it Singapore, life. I mean, you put a siege to GOC to meet the editors and have a job. One thing I wanted to tell you, I did the same in CMA-CGM, where I went and tried to meet a gentleman named Yvan Relagadik, at the time in charge of fleet something. And I went like that, at a culot, there and perseverance, I guess. So again, one more similarity I appreciate from you.
Great. Well, we've had a great time together, Nils, and it's been such a pleasure and honor for me to get to know you. And you really were one of the people that made my experience in Singapore truly unforgettable.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Peter.
It might be good if we solve this now.